questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Barrie Innisfil.
April Fool's Day, but the tax hikes that went into effect less than 12 hours ago are no joke. This morning, Canadians woke up to higher taxes on everything from gas, groceries, and home heating because of the 25% increase in the carbon tax. Everything moved by a truck will go up as producers and wholesalers inevitably pass those costs on to families and seniors who can least afford it. Why is punishing Canadians financially at a time when they can least afford it acceptable to this NDP Liberal government?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the honourable member. And while the opposition has been fixated on April 1st, Madam Speaker, on this side of the House, we've been fixated on July 15th. Do you know why, Madam Speaker? That's the date Canadian families will receive their climate action rebate checks. And they will keep receiving them, Madam Speaker, month after month after month. And as we know, Madam Speaker, 8 out of 10 families will benefit. We're fighting climate change and delivering on affordability. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Barrie Innisfil.
Not according to the PBO, but a new Ipsos poll confirms how out of touch this NDP Liberal government is with hard-working Canadians, and they applaud. We have an affordability crisis, and according to Ipsos, Canadians want a budget that addresses the cost of living crisis, not a radical, ideologically driven, activist Leap Manifesto NDP-type budget that punishes families and seniors with higher costs just for eating, driving, and heating their homes. There was a time in this country, Madam Speaker, when a Liberal Party led by Jacques Chrétien and Paul Martin governed in a fiscally responsible way. What happened to that Liberal Party?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, the saddest April Fool's joke on Canadians today is the inability of the Conservatives to simply pick a lane. On Mondays, it's do more for seniors. On Tuesdays, it's cut CPP. On Wednesdays, it's do more for small businesses. On Thursdays, it's block C8. While the Conservatives struggle to pick a lane, Madam Speaker, we are focused on investing in Canadians and managing the nation's finances responsibly. Madam Speaker, it may be before noon, and that's no joke because on the other side, whatever they say now, it'll change in an hour, and that's no joke.
I'm sure the honourable members want to hear the answer so that they can pose another question. So I would ask members to please hold on to their thoughts. And the honourable official opposition House Leader.
No one ever imagined a time where a family or seniors would be punished financially for simply driving their car to earn a living or to visit their grandchildren. Yet gas prices are up again today because of the 25% hike in the carbon tax. The Liberals have a choice in the budget next week. They can be fiscally responsible like the Chrétien-Martin Liberals were, or they can continue to take their marching orders from their radical NDP partners and be completely out of touch with the Canadians, according to Ipsos. So what will it be? A Chrétien-Martin Liberal budget or an NDP Liberal Party budget?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. And as economists and the Parliamentary Budget Officer will tell you, our price on pollution is progressive and efficient. 8 out of 10 families will receive more than they pay. And Madam Speaker, if the honourable member has forgotten the numbers, let me remind him. This year, a family of 4 will receive up to $745 in Ontario, $830 in my home province of Manitoba, $1,100 in Saskatchewan and in Alberta. Madam Speaker, we're fighting climate change and delivering on affordability.
Honorable député de Montmagny, Lisieux, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup.
Madame la Présidente.
Madam Speaker, it's April 1st and the tax hikes we're facing are far from a joke. There's more taxes on gas, groceries, heating, because of the carbon tax. Everything delivered by truck is going to go up. It's inevitable. And consumers are the ones who are going to pay. Why does the Liberal government think it's acceptable to punish Canadians at the worst possible time when they don't have the means to pay? The Honourable Minister for Tourism. Madam Speaker, it's not a joke today. The real joke is that Conservatives just can't pick a lane. Tuesday, don't support seniors. Thursday, it's another subject. Conservatives have a hard time picking a lane, but we're focusing on making wise investments. On this side, we're investing for Canadians. On the other side, it's nothing but jokes.
Encore une fois, je veux rappeler aux
Once again, I wish to remind the members that it's difficult for people at home to hear the answers. I hope that the members will take that into account. Otherwise, I will have to ask for the question to be repeated and someone will lose a question at the end of the day.
Madame la Présidente, un nouveau sondage.
An Ipsos survey confirms that the Liberals are disconnected from today's realities. There's a crisis of affordability. Canadians need help with the costs of living, not with ideological promises that make things like heating and food more expensive. We've known Liberals like Jean Charest, I'm sorry, that's the first time I've mentioned it. Like Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin. They were responsible. What happened to the Liberal Party?
L'honorable ministre du Tourisme.
The Honourable Minister for Tourism.
Très content de reconnaître que
I'm very happy to recognize that on the other side, recognize the Liberal influence in their leadership race. We are betting on affordability. We know that inflation is difficult. That's why every single day we try to make life more affordable for Canadians by increasing the Canada Child Benefit and developing a housing plan. That's what we're working on here. On the other side, it's pretty much whatever. In 2015, the Prime Minister rejected the purchase of F-35s because they didn't meet Canadians' needs, but 7 years later, he's willing to spend $19 billion on them. What changed? The committee study requested by the Bloc on the different models and strategic needs never happened. There's 871 technical problems with F-35s, 7 of them deemed critical. So what changed? Is the government buying F-35s for the right reasons, or just to please the United States?
Secretary to the Minister of National Defence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are ensuring our Canadian Armed Forces have the equipment they need to protect Canadians. On Monday, we announced we will enter into the finalization phase with the top-ranked bidder for the F-35 fighter jet, bringing us one step closer, Madam Speaker, to delivering on a new fleet of 88 state-of-the-art fighter jets for our Royal Canadian Air Force. This will help ensure our pilots have the most advanced equipment available to protect Canadians' territorial integrity, including our Arctic, Madam Speaker, and to meet our commitments to NATO, NORAD, and to deal with unforeseen threats. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean.
Présidente, la grande perdante de la future
The big loser of this future agreement on fighter planes is Quebec's aerospace industry. With the F-35s, our businesses have no guarantee that they're the ones who are going to be doing maintenance and updates. However, we can't forget that Quebecers are the ones paying for 1/4 of those $19 billion. The Defense Department will have to compensate Quebec through its new drone program where Quebec excels. The selection of F-35s could weaken our industry. When will the federal government finally implement the national aerospace policy that we have been asking for quite some time? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I said, we are ensuring that our Canadian Armed Forces have the equipment that they need to protect Canadians. This process, although long, we are focused on getting it right. Again, we said on Monday, we announced that we will enter into the finalization phase with the top-ranked bidder for the F-35 fighter jet, bringing us just one step closer to having those 88 fighter jets in service. This will help our pilots have the most advanced equipment available to protect Canadians' territorial integrity, including our Arctic, to meet our commitments, again, to NORAD and NATO. Thank you.
A member for North Island, Powell River.
Madam Speaker, the Liberals have repeatedly promised to fix the bankruptcy and insolvency laws to protect Canadians' pensions. Right now, if a company is insolvent and must declare bankruptcy, the pensioners lose the money they're owed. Advocacy groups representing more than 4 million Canadians who rely on defined pension benefit plans wrote to the Prime Minister urging him to change the laws. Hard-working Canadians deserve answers from this government. Will the minister take action and change Canada's bankruptcy and insolvency laws? Yes or no?
Honorable Ministre du Tourisme.
Madam Speaker, I thank the honourable member for her question, and we appreciate the challenges that pensioners are facing. It is why we've had reviews on the pension system, and as we anticipate what happens in the budget, we cannot comment on what will be in the budget, but we have stood steadfast with Canadians from day one forming this government to make sure that we have a stable, predictable pension system, and we will take the honourable member's question under advisement.
The honourable member for Victoria.
Madam Speaker, a new report shows that carbon capture is a fairy tale told by profitable oil and gas companies to justify more production and get more subsidies. As these companies rake in record profits, this Liberal government plans on giving them $50 billion as a tax credit. $50 billion. That's $50 billion that could be put towards renewable energy or a just transition for workers, towards real climate solutions, not big oil and gas. When will this government stop throwing money at the very companies who are fueling the climate crisis?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
I want to thank the honourable member for the question, Madam Speaker. And in our climate plan, our government committed to develop a comprehensive carbon capture, use and storage strategy, CCUS, and to ensure Canada is globally competitive in this growing industry. Developing carbon capture features in the mix of every credible path to net zero, Madam Speaker. Smart policies that incent the use of these technologies will help reduce our emissions and grow our economy.
The honourable member for Lambton-Kent Middlesex.
Speaker, my constituents and many Canadians are expecting big words, huge costs, and little improvements to their lives in the upcoming budget. Canadians don't want an NDP wish list budget. They want a responsible budget.
Hear, hear.
Young Canadians struggling to get ahead shouldn't be burdened with more debt because the government of today refuses to spend wisely. Speaker, how much will this ultra-left budget cost the next generation of taxpayers?
L'honorable Ministre du Tourisme.
Madam Speaker, this government invested in the lives and the livelihoods of Canadians at the darkest time in the last 70 years. We invested $511 billion to make sure that we could get to where we are now with the second fastest growing economy in the G7, poised to be the fastest growing economy in the G7 next year. We are on a track to fiscal prudence. We will make the right investments for Canadians, we will support Canadians, and we will manage the nation's finances responsibly.
Remember for Regina Louvain.
Mr. Speaker, we've been through a global pandemic, and now we're living through a European conflict that has exacerbated the already irresponsible fiscal record of this government. The effects of this government's incompetence are continuing to bleed into the household budgets of people across the country. As we see inflation levels reach new heights, and everyday essentials become more and more unaffordable. My question and the answer Canadians want to know is, on April 7th, will this budget return to the fiscal responsible ways of classical liberals like Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin, or will this just be a budget of NDP spending wish lists?
L'honorable Ministre du Tourisme.
I was amused to learn earlier today that there's a Liberal among the ranks of the Conservative leadership race. But on to the question at hand. When it comes to something as serious as the nation's finances, it's important to separate partisan posturing from the facts. So here are the facts, Madam Speaker. Moody's and S&P have given us a AAA credit rating. We have the second fastest growing economy in the world, poised to be the fastest growing next year. We made clear investments in the lives of Canadians so that we could rebound and have one of the best economies in the world. That's good for Canadians. That's good for everyone, Madam Speaker.
Honourable member for Lambton-Kent Middlesex.
Speaker, Canadians woke up to a more expensive country today. The carbon tax helps no one in rural Canada. It hurts seniors, families, and the agricultural sector by increasing the costs of heat for their homes and their barns. It also increases the cost of fuel for their cars and for the trucks that deliver food to Canadians from coast to coast. According to a recent Ipsos poll, nearly half of Canadians want to see lower taxes in the upcoming budget. So, Speaker, will the NDP Liberal government listen to my constituents in Lambton-Kent Middlesex and cancel the carbon tax?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. And agriculture and rural communities are vital to my home province of Manitoba. And Madam Speaker, we recognize we're in a transition period, and that's why we introduced C8 to put more money in farmers' pockets. Bill C8, currently before this House, contains a measure to return part of the proceeds of the price of pollution directly to farmers. Unfortunately, the Conservative Party has tried to remove this measure and has delayed progress on this important legislation.
Member for Regina Louvain.
Mr. Speaker, death and ever-increasing Liberal taxes are the only certainties in life in Canada. Regardless of the Liberal spin, the true function of the carbon tax is to take more money out of Canadians' pockets. What I truly don't understand, Madam Speaker, is why the Liberal ministers continue to stand up every day and try and spin Canadians. These ministers are trying to be contortionists with the facts, whether Canadians are getting all of their money back on their Liberal carbon tax cash grab. My question is quite simple. If the Liberals are giving all the money back to Canadians, why bother taking it in the first place?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And while the Conservatives are trying to determine whether climate change is real, our government is moving forward to cut pollution, create good jobs, and make lives more affordable for Canadians. When the Conservatives were in power, Madam Speaker, they did absolutely nothing for 10 long years on climate action. Madam Speaker, we simply can't afford another 10 years of Harper Conservative inaction on climate change.
Yeah, so the tone is starting to come up again. I'm sure that the honourable member appreciated when they asked the questions that they weren't interrupted, and I would ask them to do the same when someone's answering the question. The honourable member for Cypress Hills Grasslands.
Well, Madam Speaker, today the carbon tax went up yet again. Out west, we have long known is nothing more than a callous and discriminatory tax that hurts rural Canada. According to the government's own regulations, it also disproportionately impacts seniors living on a fixed income and single mothers. The NDP Liberal government won't let harsh reality get in the way of their blind ideology. So will the minister finally admit that this is not actually about lowering emissions, but rather that this is only about holding back the progress of Western Canada?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, Madam Speaker, I'm a proud Manitoban from Western Canada, and Madam Speaker, the Parliamentary Budget Officer confirmed that the majority of households will receive more in climate action rebates than they pay. That's 8 out of 10 families. And again, I'll just repeat those numbers, which are valid from coast to coast to coast. Madam Speaker, this year a family of 4 will receive $1,100 in Saskatchewan and Alberta, $830 in my home province of Manitoba. And those rebate checks, Madam Speaker, will start to arrive on July 15th and arrive each and every month.
The honourable member for Kenora.
Madam Speaker, today the carbon tax increases to 11 cents per litre on fuel, while prices in northwestern Ontario and across the country are skyrocketing. Housing prices have doubled, groceries are up across the board, and 6 in 10 Canadian families with kids are now worried they will no longer be able to put food on the table. Madam Speaker, inflation is at record highs, and families cannot afford to wait for a rebate. They are struggling to get by week, day by day. Madam Speaker, will the government do the right thing and cancel the carbon tax hike?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister for Families, Children and Social Development.
Madam Speaker, and I can tell the members opposite that there's one thing that this government has always in our minds, and that is the well-being of families. Madam Speaker, since we were elected in 2015, we introduced the Canada Child Benefit, which saw 9 out of 10 Canadian families receive more money than previously. And as of today, Madam Speaker, right here in this province, in that member's riding, families with kids in daycare will receive a 25% reduction in daycare fees. Madam Speaker, we are making life more affordable for families, and we'll keep doing that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
L'honorable député de Manicouagan.
Madame la Présidente, depuis...
Madam Speaker, since 1980, Canada has tabled 11 greenhouse gas reductions plans. They've all failed, and this week's is going to fail as well. Why? When it comes to setting a cap on oil and gas industry emissions, the goal of this cap is not to reduce production, which are not motivated by decreases in world demand. In other words, as long as there's a client for Canadian oil, it's drill, baby, drill. When will there be a realistic plan to get away from fossil fuels? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Honourable member for the question, and just remind the honourable member, Mr. Speaker, that Canada is committed to phasing out fossil fuel subsidies in the coming 2 years. This is 2 years ahead of schedule, Madam Speaker. We have already phased out 8 tax breaks for the fossil fuel sector, and as outlined in the emissions reduction plan that was tabled this week, we are working on a plan to cap oil and gas emissions and ensure the sector makes an ambitious contribution to meeting the country's 2030 emission goals. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Les conservateurs applaudissent le...
The Conservatives are applauding the government's plan. That says a lot. On Monday, the IPCC, a group of experts from the United Nations in the environment, will table a report. And in last month's report, the United Nations warned that big polluters are the ones who are burning down our only house. The United Nations also described the abdication of leadership from governments as being criminal. Monday, we're going to read the IPCC's reports, and when we compare it to the plan announced by Ottawa this week, are we actually going to be able to believe that Ottawa is doing enough? The Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
For the question, and on Tuesday, Madam Speaker, we introduced our emissions reduction plan, which is a practical roadmap to fight climate change, create good jobs, and build the clean economy. And just a few highlights, Madam Speaker. We're going to make it easier and more affordable for Canadians to switch to electric vehicles, invest in energy retrofits for greener homes and buildings, establish a greener electricity grid, and reduce oil and gas emissions, and very, very importantly, Madam Speaker, support our farmers as they move to more sustainable agriculture. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Bay of Quint.
Madam Speaker, this week we have 2 leaders doing 2 different things for Canadians at the gas pumps. On one hand, President Biden launched the largest release ever for the U.S. Emergency Oil Reserve and challenged oil companies to increase their oil contribution by 10%. While on the other hand, our Prime Minister caused even more payment at the pumps by hiking the carbon tax. President Biden's actions caused oil prices to decrease 7%, meaning he is reducing gas prices for Canadians. My question, Madam Speaker, is why is the American president doing more for Canadians at the gas pumps than their own Prime Minister?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Labour and then to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate the opportunity to speak a little bit about what our American counterparts are doing with respect to energy transformation. In fact, the U.S. Secretary of Energy, Secretary Granholm, specifically said in reaction to the heightened gas prices from Putin's invasion of Russia that they are accelerating our clean transition, which will make our country more energy independent and much less vulnerable to the whims of dictators. That is what the U.S. is doing. Frankly, we are also working to transition towards renewables, and that is an important thing to do.
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Madam Speaker, beer, wine, cider, and spirit producers are waking up this morning in my riding of Kelowna Lake Country to an unfair increase in their excise escalator tax. Worse yet, this tax is tied to the Consumer Price Index, meaning the government's failure to tackle our inflation crisis will see this soaring even higher next year. April Fool's Day pranks are only supposed to last until noon. So will the NDP Liberal government give us some good news after this bad joke today and reverse this unfair tax increase?
The Honourable Minister for Tourism.
I understand the member's question and value the role that the wine, beer, and spirit sector play in our economy, but also in tourism attraction and retention. Now, like other taxes and benefits, the alcohol excise duty rate is calculated automatically every year to account for inflation. And this is the right approach, and it provides stability and predictability for the industry, which is what they asked us when we formed government. The increase is less than 1/5 of 1 penny per can of beer, and other specific measures in place for wine and spirits. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Member for King Vaughan.
Happy Friday, Madam Speaker. Although for a family in my riding, it is not a happy Friday. A family in my riding has 2 teenage disabled children who require full-time assistance and are not eligible for the $10 a day childcare. This family is struggling to make ends meet. To support his family with the necessities, the father must work 2 jobs. How will this NDP Liberal government assist families who are facing rising costs in order to provide the basic needs for their children?
The Honourable Minister of Families, Children and Social Development.
Speaker. And, you know, I understand what the constituent that she was talking about was going through. I've spoken to many constituents who have children with disabilities, and that's specifically why we have made sure that in all of our child care agreements that they are inclusive, that they reach the broad needs of every single child across this country, particularly those with disabilities, because we know that there are higher costs for families who have children with disabilities. And so I thank the member opposite for her advocacy, and she can count on this government continue to work for families in need. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Disnepe, Mississippi, Churchill River.
Madam Speaker, as fuel costs rise to unprecedented levels, the people of northern Saskatchewan are outraged that this NDP Liberal coalition would raise their taxes again. Fact, driving is not optional in my riding. Fact, trips for groceries and medical appointments are often very long distances. Fact, there is no public transit nor electric vehicle charging stations. Fact, today my constituents are worse off because of the increase in the carbon tax. Madam Speaker, when will this government realize that raising taxes is the last thing my constituents need?
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm glad our Families Minister stood just a little while ago, and I love the references to the Chrétien government, Madam Speaker, because it reminds me when the Harper government came to power in 2006, what was the first thing they did? They canceled our national child care program. The other thing that they did, Madam Speaker, was that they deep-sixed the Kyoto Climate Accord. The Conservatives have done absolutely nothing on climate change in the last 15 years, Madam Speaker. We now have a national child care program, once again, thanks to the Families Minister and our Prime Minister and those on this side of the House, and we have an emissions reduction plan.
People across facing with the rising costs of gas, groceries, and housing. And one way to help them is by eliminating taxes that don't make sense. Low-alcohol beer is a healthy and increasingly popular choice, and yet it's charged alcohol excise tax, while low-alcohol wine and spirits are not.
I'm sorry, there seems to be a problem, I think, with interpretation. Est-ce que ça fonctionne maintenant? Does it work right now? Okay. Okay, I'll ask the honourable member to restart his question. And I would ask members to hold off on any rhetoric that they want to give at this point. So the honourable member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Madam Speaker, people across the country are faced with the rising cost of gas, groceries, and housing. And one way to help them is by eliminating taxes that don't make sense. Low-alcohol beer is a healthy and increasingly popular choice, and yet it is charged alcohol excise tax, while low-alcohol wine and spirits are not. And yesterday I introduced Bill C-267 to provide a simple fix for this anomaly. So will the government support this fix, put it in the budget, and provide some relief for both craft brewers and consumers?
The Honourable Minister of Tourism.
Honourable member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay, for his question and for his private member's bill. And we cannot comment on what will be revealed in the budget next week, but I do hear the member's appeal. I personally enjoy non-alcoholic beer, and I am thrilled to see the rise of craft breweries across the country. They are a tourism draw. We've heard the member opposite, and we will take his suggestions under advisement. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Canada's rising food prices are hurting families that were already struggling. 2 million children are now at risk of going to school hungry. In a country as wealthy as Canada, no child should have to get through the day on an empty stomach. For many years, New Democrats have called for a national school nutrition program to give every student access to healthy food. In the last election, both the NDP and Liberals pledged $1 billion towards this urgent priority. Will this critical investment be delivered in Budget 2022?
The Honourable Minister of Families, Children and Social Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to start by acknowledging my colleague and several of the members in this House who have been advocating for a national school food policy. I am looking forward to working with them to deliver this for children across the country. We share with them the concern that no child in this country should go to school hungry. We know it improves learning outcomes, and we know it does what it needs for them to make sure that they are healthy. So I look forward to working with him to deliver this for Canadians. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Northwest Territories.
Madam Speaker, in 2017, the Prime Minister met with His Holiness Pope Francis and invited him to Canada to deliver a public apology to the Indigenous people. For decades, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis families, survivors, and communities have been calling for a papal apology, recognizing the harm done and the ongoing impacts of residential schools. Today, after meetings with Indigenous delegations, Pope Francis apologized to Indigenous people in Canada from the Vatican. Can the Parliamentary Secretary inform the House about this?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
I'd like to start off by thanking the member from Northwest Territory for his wisdom and guidance in our caucus and his hard work on this. The Government of Canada acknowledges the apology from Pope Francis to the delegation in Rome. We know it is an important step towards rebuilding trust and addressing the historical wrongs committed by the Catholic Church against Indigenous people. We welcome an apology from Pope Francis on Canadian soil, and it would be symbolic for Indigenous people across this country as we continue on our journey of healing in this country.
The honourable member for Prince Albert.
Madam Speaker, Canada's export-dependent sectors have said that the WTO's upcoming ministerial conference must secure ambitious outcomes across the board. This includes removing pandemic-related restrictions, fixing the appellate body, improving transparency. In addition, the global trading community must ensure Russia is condemned in all international institutions. What is the government's plan to ensure that this WTO ministerial conference is used to further isolate Putin and his aggression?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business and Economic Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the honourable colleague for asking that question. Canada was the first country to revoke Russia and Belarus's most favoured nation status as trading partners under Canadian law. Then Canada worked with our allies to lead a WTO statement condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine and called on WTO members to suspend Russia's most favored nation status and to suspend Russia's accession to the WTO. And as we've said from the very beginning of Russia's unjustified invasion of Ukraine, we will do everything we can to ensure that President Putin and his enablers.
The honourable member for Elgin, Middlesex, London.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Agricultural producers in Elgin, Middlesex, London and across Canada are experiencing challenges of global fertilizer shortages, increase of the costs in inputs and production, and the increase of the carbon tax just today. These factors are threatening Canada's food supply and the security of the supply chains. What is the government's plan to support Canadian agriculture and agribusinesses to prevent the supply chain disruption and the food shortages?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture.
I thank the honourable member for her question. She does raise a good question. With regards to fertilizer availability, this is something that our government takes very seriously, is working with our partners and industry leaders to ensure that we have fertilizer available in Canada. I know some farmers were able to book early in December and January, but there are some impacts on farmers today, and we will be continuing to work with the industry to ensure that we have a solution. And the other thing that the honourable member can do is pass C8 right away, because that will give a rebate to farmers today if they work with us on C8. Thank you.
The honourable member for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock.
Speaker, the Liberals' failure to take the crisis facing our food supply seriously hurts Canadian farmers and families. The Ontario Agribusiness Association and farmers in my riding support sanctions against Russia. However, they've asked, along with Conservatives, if tariffs will apply to fertilizer purchases before March 2nd and if orders will be allowed to be offloaded here in Canada. With the cost of food rising daily, the last thing we need is additional pressure on our agricultural sector. So, will the minister, for once, actually respond to the concerns of Canadian farmers?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the honourable colleague for his question. He does raise a good question. Fertilizer availability is important in Canada. At the same time, this is caused by Putin's illegal war, and we have to take serious action against that. We know that we are working with the industry to ensure that fertilizer remains available in Canada, and it remains at a reasonable price. Thank you.
Member for Haliburton-Kawartha Lake Sprott.
Thank you, Speaker. Canadians are still deeply concerned that this government has no plan to address skyrocketing food and gas prices. An inflation crisis, coupled with supply chain shortages, are forcing many businesses to raise prices anywhere from 25% to 40% just to stay afloat. Higher energy, fertilizer, wheat, corn prices are all impacting the cost of food here in Canada. When will the Prime Minister finally table a plan so that Canadians can feed their families?
The Honourable Minister of Tourism.
The Conservatives continue to ignore basic economic facts. Canada's GDP rose again in January, making 8 consecutive months of growth. We've recovered over 3.4 million jobs lost during the pandemic. 2021 was Canada's largest annual trade surplus since 2008, totaling $6.6 billion, and we retain the S&P Moody's AAA credit rating. That's delivering for Canadians, that's delivering for small business, that's real leadership.
The Honourable Member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Madam Speaker, services to Francophone veterans are not getting better, they're declining. An application for disability benefits from an Anglophone military member takes 20 weeks, and Francophones, though, have to wait 76 weeks. That's 6 months longer than in 2018, and yet the minister says that all is well. The Veterans Committee wrote to him so that he can explain to us why expert analysts are saying just the opposite. We're still waiting for him to reply. So when will the minister finally be accountable to Francophone veterans? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The minister's sound is insufficient for the interpretation to continue.
Je m'excuse, l'honorable député va falloir qu'il accorde.
The honourable member will have to check his connection. I apologize. The honourable member does not have his headset, and so we cannot take his answer. Thank you.
Il y a quelqu'un d'autre. Ouais, mais il n'est pas plugué, là. On attend. Okay, je veux rappeler à tous les députés.
I'd like to remind all members, ministers and parliamentary secretaries that they need to use proper equipment or else they will not be able to answer. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for having recognized me. So, as I said earlier, we recognize that we must do much more for Francophone veterans when it comes to making decisions regarding their applications. Since that time, we have put in place a Francophone unit that is dedicated to improving the services for Francophone veterans. And in addition, we have hired a number of Francophone and bilingual agents to help them. And this is $40 million of an investment to make progress on this. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Madam Speaker, services to Francophone veterans are declining. An expert confirmed that some 1,200 veterans had to engage in a veritable battle to finally obtain services. And she said that public servants are recommending to veterans to apply in English because it won't take them as long to get a response. In other words, in Canada, if you can't get French services, then speak English. Is that how we thank Francophones for their service to our country? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Veterans. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. and that is not what we must do. People need to be served in French, and that is why we dedicated an entire Francophone unit to these services. We have hired more bilingual agents, and in addition, it is our government which invested over $11 million to help serve and support veterans across Canada. We have been there for veterans, and we will continue to do that, including for Francophones.
Cartier.
The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Madam Speaker, Canadians are proud of both official languages, French and English. Those languages have to be protected and incorporated into federal provincial agreements. If the federal government doesn't enforce the Official Languages Act, then who will? In addition, we have to stop the decline of French in Canada now. Will the Official Languages Minister commit to amending Bill C-13 in order to include mandatory language clauses? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Official Languages. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for his question and his diligent work on the Official Languages Committee. Our government understands the challenges with regard to official languages and their importance. We seek to improve the positive measures in the bill, and we are working with our provincial and territorial partners. We are considering everything and the impacts on official languages. We are going to look at the amendments, work with the opposition and the communities across the country to improve the bill. The Honourable Member for Marmigny, Lillet, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Madam Speaker, I am appealing to the government to help Ms. Laurence Courtois-Gagnon, a young Canadian mother who had to flee the war in Ukraine with her newborn, Leo, and take refuge in Poland. She desperately wants to get back to Canada, but the Warsaw Embassy has not yet issued a citizenship certificate for her baby, who is also Canadian, which would allow him to get a passport to come back. What does the government intend to do to help this lady? Thank you. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. Since the beginning of this war, Canada has been there to help the Ukrainians to flee the war. We are going to continue to work with them. In fact, this week, we have welcomed over 12,000 Ukrainian refugees, and you know very well that individual cases cannot be discussed. I would reckon my colleague to come and see me, and we'll work together. Thank you.
L'honorable député de Beauce.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Madam Speaker, today I am rising for the 17th time in 2 years concerning the labour shortage in my riding and the interminable immigration delays. In an article on Radio-Canada, March 18th, we learned that Immigration Canada is being sued by immigration lawyers for excessive delays in Quebec. Understaffed businesses and citizens in waiting are discouraged and their patience is wearing thin. When will the minister finally do his job and reduce these delays? Thank you. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Once again, I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. Listen, I would just like to make a point here in this House because since the beginning we have welcomed and processed some 500,000 permanent residents, and we have reached a historic number. 143,000 applications for permanent residency have been received and processed in the past 3 months, and we have to do more, and we're going to continue to do so, Madam Speaker. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Bourassa. Madam Speaker, Canada and Caribbean nations share deep ties. By working together with our partners, we can meet the challenges that we are all facing, including matters of regional stability, COVID-19, and climate change. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs inform this House how Canada's role in co-organizing the CARICOM ministerial meeting helps us meet these challenges and strengthen these essential ties? The Honourable Minister. I'd like to thank my colleague from Bourassa for his important work. This morning, the Minister of Foreign Affairs indeed co-organized the ministerial meeting of CARICOM with her counterpart in Belize. They discussed regional safety and stability in Haiti and Nicaragua, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and efforts to ensure a sustainable recovery from COVID-19 and climate change. These ties are essential for Canada and the world.
Lampton.
Madam Speaker, this NDP Liberal government continues to try to destroy the oil and gas industry in Canada. First the carbon tax, then the clean fuel standards, now a call for a 42% emissions reduction. In my riding of Sarnia-Lambton, which produces a third of the petrochemicals in the country, they'll be hard-pressed to remain competitive under these punishing rules that don't apply to foreign oil. The carbon footprint won't be leaving the planet, just the Canadian jobs. So why are the Liberals trying to destroy thousands of jobs in this country in order to give them to foreign producers with higher emissions?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change and to the Minister of Natural Resources.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And in fact, it's really important, I would like to highlight, the industry actually made the commitment to move to reduce emissions and to have a pathway to net zero by 2050. We actually took them up on their offer. When it comes to speaking to the emissions reductions plan, the Oil Sands Pathways, which represents oil sands producers, actually spoke in support of this plan. This is a plan that is working to reduce emissions and make sure we have a clean economy for the future, creating sustainable jobs.
The honourable member for Chatham-Kent-Leamington.
Madam Speaker, U.S. representatives on the Great Lakes Fisheries Commission have delayed the passage of their 2022 budget because of Canada's long-standing appropriation shortfall in meeting its treaty obligations. In Fisheries Committee, the Minister agreed with my colleague from South Shore St. Margaret's that the best decision for Canada would be to pay its bills and not allow invasive species to contaminate our Great Lakes. When will this NDP Liberal government pay the remaining $9 million on our obligation?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As always, this government has had the back of workers and people in the industry. We'll continue to work in the best way possible to achieve outcomes that are shared, that are direct, that stand by the principles of this government. That is unwavering, and that is what we're committed to do.
The Honourable Member for Peace River Westlock.
Madam Speaker, on Wednesday, the Minister of Justice denied that Bill C-5 would allow human traffickers to serve their sentences at home. That's crazy. The Minister doesn't even know his own bill. Human trafficking is a vicious crime, and traffickers prey on the most vulnerable. And in Canada, a lot of them are Indigenous women and girls. Can the Minister explain how giving sex traffickers house arrest will protect its victims, and why does he think that this is okay?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Our government is committed to criminal justice system reform. It's a promise we made to Canadians, and we intend to keep it. This is about criminal justice policy that actually keeps our communities safe. A justice system that targets unfairly Indigenous peoples, Black and marginalized communities is not effective, does not keep us safe, and must be changed, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Centre.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The fight against climate change should be a top priority. The impact of climate change are having a greater and more direct impact on developing countries and are disproportionately affecting women and girls. With the increasing frequency and severity of flood, drought, and the loss of biodiversity, women and girls are the ones that most impacted by natural disaster and the first to go without food when crop fails. Can the Parliamentary Secretary of the Minister of International Development tell us what Canada is doing to do its part in this fight against climate change?
Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I would like to thank my honourable colleague from Richmond Centre for his advocacy and his question.
Our government recognizes that more support is needed to women and girls who are disproportionately affected by the impacts of climate change, natural disasters, and biodiversity loss. That is why we announced $67.5 million in international assistance funding that will provide support to 8 projects. These projects will support women's leadership in climate change adaptation, mitigation, and natural resource management. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Churchill, Kiwana-Newcastle.
Madam Speaker, 2030 is quickly approaching, and the Liberals still don't get it when it comes to climate change. They refuse to meet the urgency of this moment. They're still handing out billions to big oil, and it's no surprise emissions continue to go up. We can't wait any longer. We need infrastructure investments for Indigenous and Northern communities already paying the price of climate change. Canada's infrastructure bank is just sitting there, literally, because it has yet to complete one project. That's why we in the NDP want to put it to work with my bill C-245. Will the Liberals stand with Indigenous and Northern communities by voting for this bill?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank my colleague from Manitoba from the question. And Madam Speaker, Tuesday was a very exciting day. It was the day the emissions reduction plan was announced, a roadmap for Canada to reach our ambitious climate targets, sector by sector. It's getting great reviews, Madam Speaker, from environmental groups to banks to the resource sector. Let me cite a few for the honourable member. Andrew Weaver, former leader of the Green Party, has praised it. World Wildlife Fund. Oh, and here's a very important one from David Suzuki, who says for the first time Canada charts a credible path to 40% emissions reduction by 2030. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Tabling of documents. C'est la fin de la période de questions. This ends question period. Tabling of documents.